Ladies and gentlemen, self-discipline is the silent, often invisible force behind all meaningful progress. It doesn't roar like motivation, and it doesn't dazzle like talent. Instead, it whispers, nudging you forward when no one's watching, guiding your decisions in the quiet moments where your future is being shaped. It is the daily choice to act in your best long-term interest, even when the short-term feels more appealing. This internal struggle is at the heart of you versus you, because the real challenge isn't other people, external circumstances, or the environment. It's you choosing to stay on track when it's easier not to. We all start out with ambitions, goals, and visions of a better life. Whether it's financial stability, physical fitness, emotional peace, or personal success, the road to any of these destinations is paved with small, often repetitive actions that require discipline. The problem is that our present self is frequently in conflict with our future self. It wants to sleep in rather than work out, scroll instead of study, spend instead of save. The future self, on the other hand, benefits from the hard choices made today. But that benefit is distant and intangible in the moment, which makes discipline hard to maintain. Self-discipline is choosing to act on what you know is right, rather than how you feel in the moment. Feelings are fleeting and can be easily influenced by mood, stress, fatigue, or distraction. Discipline acts like an anchor. It keeps you grounded when your emotions sway you, and it keeps your focus clear when your environment is noisy. The disciplined person doesn't wait for the perfect moment or ideal inspiration. They act knowing that consistency builds confidence, and confidence sustains momentum. The truth is, the battle of you versus you happens in subtle ways every day. It's not always dramatic. It's deciding to finish that task instead of leaving it for tomorrow. It's shutting off the screen when you know you've had enough. It's preparing your meals instead of defaulting to junk. These aren't monumental acts, but over time they compound. Every small act of discipline becomes a brick in the foundation of your stronger self. One of the myths about self-discipline is that it's something you're either born with or not. In reality, it's a skill. It can be trained, developed, and strengthened through deliberate effort. The more often you win those little internal battles, the stronger your discipline becomes. You create a new identity, one that doesn't rely on motivation to act, but is governed by commitment and purpose. You begin to see yourself not just as someone who has goals, but as someone who follows through. That shift in identity changes everything. Another powerful aspect of self-discipline is that it teaches you delayed gratification, which is one of the most reliable predictors of long-term success. When you can resist what feels good now for what will feel even better later, you gain control over your life. You stop reacting and start directing. You stop making decisions based on impulse and start choosing with intention. And in that space, you begin to grow. Discipline gives you the edge to keep going when others quit, to stay focused when others are distracted, and to evolve while others stay the same. Ultimately, self-discipline is freedom. It's the ability to rise above excuses, to master your time, your actions, and your mindset. While it may seem like restriction, it actually unlocks your potential. The more you govern yourself, the less you are ruled by circumstance. And in that ongoing battle between you and the weaker version of you, self-discipline is the sword you carry. It doesn't make the fight easy, but it makes victory possible. Growth begins where self-honesty starts. Without the courage to see yourself clearly, progress is only surface deep. You might change your habits temporarily or adjust your routines, but lasting transformation only takes root when you are willing to confront who you really are. Strengths, flaws, patterns, and all. This level of honesty is uncomfortable, which is why so many people avoid it. It's easier to blame others, to look outward, to pretend that circumstances or luck are the reason things haven't changed. But deep down, most people know that what holds them back is not what's around them, but what. Being honest with yourself means stripping away the ego, the excuses, and the image you try to protect. It means asking hard questions like, am I really doing my best? Am I avoiding responsibility? Am I allowing fear to control my choices? These aren't easy questions to answer because they force you to admit things that bruise your pride. But without that level of truth, growth is stunted. You can't change what you won't face. You can't fix what you won't admit is broken. And you can't rise higher while clinging to a version of yourself that is built on denial. Self-honesty also demands that you look at the gap between who you say you want to be and how you actually live. It's one thing to talk about goals and dreams, but another to align your behavior with them. If you say you want to be disciplined but continue to make impulsive choices, that's a contradiction. If you say you value growth but resist feedback, you're not being real with yourself. True growth requires you to close the gap between intention and action. That starts with admitting where you're falling short, not with shame, but with the resolve to do better. The beauty of self-honesty is that it doesn't shame you, it frees you. When you stop pretending, you stop wasting energy trying to maintain a false image. You stop living in tension with yourself. You begin to make choices from a place of clarity rather than confusion. There's power in saying, I don't have it all together, but I'm working on it. That humility is the foundation of growth. It opens the door to learning, to feedback, to change. It makes you coachable, adaptable, and ultimately more resilient. There's also a deep respect that grows when you start telling yourself the truth. You begin to trust yourself more. You're not playing games or living in contradiction. You're not hiding behind distractions or lies. That internal alignment creates confidence. Not the loud, boastful kind, but the quiet certainty that comes from living with integrity. You become someone who not only sees the truth, but acts on it. That's a powerful way to live. Of course, self-honesty doesn't mean being harsh or overly critical. It's not about tearing yourself down. It's about being real without being ruthless. Growth is not fueled by self-loathing, but by self-awareness. You can acknowledge your weaknesses without defining yourself by them. You can recognize your mistakes and still believe in your potential. In fact, it's that very belief that you can change, improve, and evolve that makes honesty worth it. You're not being honest to punish yourself. You're being honest so you can grow beyond your current limitations. The truth is, the hardest person to be honest with is yourself, but it's also the most necessary, because no matter what goals you set, no matter what success you chase, it will always come back to the person in the mirror. If you want real growth, not just performance or appearance, you have to start there. You have to ask, am I telling myself the truth? And if not, what's it costing me? Because the moment you choose honesty over comfort is the moment you begin to change. Not just on the outside, but from the inside out.